What's going on, everybody? It's Afro Think Tank. Today we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to talk about the Roe versus Wade, how it's been overturned. We're going to talk about the lackluster gun control laws. And we're going to talk about the Donald Trump effect, or the Donald Trump the black Donald Trump supporter. And I kind of got a slight warning for the black Donald Trump supporter at the end. Okay, but first we're going to start off with Roe versus Wade. Okay, now Roe versus Wade, obviously, it gave the woman the right to choose, right? A woman the right to choose the destiny of her reproductive journey. There's all sorts of reasons why people get pregnant. Obviously, you got incest, you got sexual assault, various different reasons, or you got women who, get around, they get pregnant, or for one reason or another, they either do not feel like they are capable of taking care of a baby or whatnot, or maybe it's a health issue and they need to get rid of the baby, right? Or they need to get rid of the fetus, however you want to call it, or whatever, But there are a lot of people who are opposed to that. Obviously, there are pro-life people who believe that conception starts at, life starts at conception. You got people who believe that life starts at the first heartbeat. We can play around with that, but life, we all know life starts inside the woman's belly. I would say heartbeat, because before that, it's just a bunch of proteins, minerals getting itself together, and zinc, and protein and stuff like that. But once that heartbeat's there, it's alive. It has a heartbeat, right? And it's a very touchy subject because on one hand, I can understand people who truly believe that life is precious and that a woman should not be able to willy-nilly just go and terminate a baby, because that's not an option that we would have had a long time ago, right? And it also it gives women extra choices in life that they wouldn't necessarily have if they didn't have that option, meaning they can be a little bit more reckless with their sexual promiscuity. They don't have to vet the people they have sex with as much because they can always just go get rid of it. So a person can be worth having sex with, right? But not worth having a baby with or building a life with. You see, that option women have, because they can get an abortion or whatnot. They're more freely able to pick and choose what men they're attracted to at the moment, and not really invest in the long-term man because they have that option to just, get pregnant, get rid of the baby, right? So you have people who do abuse the system, right? And then you got people who really need it, you got people who've been raped, and have absolutely no intentions on carrying the evidence of their, carrying the baby and bringing to term and raising a child that reminds them that they were raped. And then they have to look at that person's offspring every day. That's psychologically damaging. It's not fair to the child, because it's not fair to the child in most cases, and it's not fair to the mother. So in cases like that, then you got life-threatening cases where it's possible that if they have the baby, they could die. Those things need to be tended to. But the problem is, a lot of the rhetoric on both sides are both hypocritical and extreme at the same time. Why? Because let's go with the Republicans. Mostly it's Republicans, but this transcends party. Because this transcends race to a certain extent too, as far as the real true people who believe in Roe versus Wade, people who believe the right for a woman to choose, people who believe that right should be taken away, right? But it does transcend mostly race and religion and politics. But the majority of the groups that are pushing this are Republican leaning individuals. And the thing is, the reason why, and I've been saying this in many of my videos, it really doesn't have anything to do with. Now, there's some people who really, truly, really, you see the videos of people protesting, the people celebrating. There's some people who truly believe that they're saving lives, with the baby, with the fetus thing. There are people who truly believe this in their hearts, and they're genuine about, life. But then you got the real reason for this push. You see, Europeans, as they have taken over the planet through colonialism, death, and genocide, and their women have also become empowered themselves, through all the riches and the luxuries of being empowered through their males conquering of all other, groups via the gun and cannon, not hand-to-hand combat or anything equal, just via the gun and cannon, the equalizer, great equalizer. For about 500 years now, the woman has decided that they also, want to be able to have some of the same privileges as the man. The European woman wants to have the same privileges as the European man, right? They want to get into the workforce. They want to do business. They want to do a lot of various other things. And what happens, the consequence to that, right? The consequences to a woman switching her role in mass, all right? I'm not saying that a woman shouldn't be able to, strive towards their dreams. I'm just talking about there's consequences to every action. Every action has a reaction, period, whether you like it or not, right? So if a woman decides to take the male role on any capacity throughout their lives, right, they neglect some of their female roles. So a lot of the women, instead of having, 5, 6, 7, 8 babies, like used to be the norm, they're choosing to have just maybe 1, maybe 2, right? Because they don't want the babies or the rearing of the child to take up their life, because they want to spend a lot of their lives doing and pursuing the things they want to pursue. They don't want to be bogged down by children, or they don't want to be in a situation to where they are totally dependent on a man. And if that man ever decides to up and leave, depending on how successful he becomes, he decides to up and leave, gets the rug pulled from underneath her, and she has nothing because she didn't build anything on her own to survive. So she's either forced to stay with the man no matter what the abuses are, right, if there's abuse in the situation, or she's gonna perish. So women want to empower themselves. They started to empower themselves to make sure that they are not beholden to a man to take care of themselves or to live a prosperous life, which I completely understand, right? But the consequences of that, and since women are deciding not to have more babies, the population of Europeans have been steadily going down, right? Steadily going down, right? To the point to where it's such a cultural thing where white women, they're choosing not to have children because they're pursuing their careers, right? Or their businesses. They're choosing to be not women, they're doing their thing, right? They started that. They're doing all sorts of anything but the traditional housewives. And that mindset has been passed along to various other groups. Even the Chinese try to control their population by doing the one-drop rule. Not the one-drop rule. The one-child rule for a while. And that caused a detrimental a side effect within their community. And now they have the opposite effect. So everybody thinks that China has all these people and their population is so massive. But yes, 30 years ago, right? 30 years ago, they had a massive working class population. Now they have a massive elderly population that needs to be taken care of, which is going to cost them lots of money. They have they're trying to switch it up to where you can now have 2 kids, now 3 kids. But the thing is, it's so expensive to have 1 kid. People still are choosing not to have children because they cannot afford it. They can barely afford to get married, to start institutions of family in China. Therefore, they're just trying to do laying flat. You ever heard that phrase in China? Laying flat. Look it up. Lay flat. That's like a movement going on with it. Just don't do nothing. There's another one too that came after lay flat. Lay flat. I forgot what it's called, but basically it's to live a minimalistic life and not do anything because it's too hard to live, right? Japan also has the same problem. Japanese people, who are different from Chinese people, even though they have a common ancestor, Japanese people are having an irreversible population decline. So Europe has an irreversible population decline. Japan has an irreversible population decline. When I say irreversible, meaning it cannot. We're at the point where it's impossible to reverse the trend unless something extreme happens. China, they're not on an irreversible population decline, but they're on a trajectory to have a very small population here in the future because there's not a lot of women to go around. All right, so Chinese men are actually going to find foreign women, preferably Southeast Asian women, but even in some cases African women, to have to have children with, because they can't start a family. The way they live, they need the family structure to survive, to do anything, and to pass along the things that they own. So this is a worldwide situation, and it's all due to the way the Western/white European Euro-esque style of living, the format of how we live today has manifested itself to a situation where a lot of these groups are not having babies because the women have been empowered to do something different than the role that they normally have played, right? Then you add abortion in it. That means women not only are empowered not to have children, but if they do get pregnant, they can take care of it like that, all right? So America, which is, a microcosm of the world, even though, population-wise, there's a lot of white folks, but worldwide, there's not that many white people, right? They make you think there is, but there's really not that much. It's just that the small numbers of them strategically have control of certain things where they can control, what we all think, but there's really not that many of them. So they know there's not that many of them. And no matter how much you fake how many you are, in reality, there's not that many of you. And you have a recessive gene. So Europeans are going to get, and Japanese are getting the butt into this. So there's a lot of programs within Europe, Asia, and, not in America so far, to boost or promote women having babies. They're getting paid. The government is trying to pay white people to have more children. It's everywhere in Europe. You just look it up. It's everywhere in Europe. It's an epidemic. At the same time, Africa is having an overwhelming population boost, right? So not only is Africa having an overwhelming population boost, but the reality is the Western world never knew or never acknowledged how many African people were actually on that massive continent in the first place. They've always been downplaying our numbers. They've been downplaying our numbers here in America. They downplay our numbers in Brazil. The truth of the matter is, one out of every 5 human beings on this planet is African or black. 1 out of every 5 human beings on this planet is Asian, right? And the rest fill in the blank, right? So not only do we have a continent with all the resources, continent with the most prosperous areas to live on the planet, as far as desirable places to live, desirable minerals, desirable resources, desirable body frame to live on this earth, desirable melanin, desirable intelligence, strength, but desirable DNA. But we also have a massive population that is soon to be taking over the world. It's just what it is. You can see it in media. Media now has to pander towards the African American because of our population, because that's where the money is. Rich white folks going to make their money, whether it be a bunch of white folks, a bunch of Asian folks, or a bunch of African folks. They're going to make their money. Just like, for instance, Disney has their new thing is Eureka, little black girl. She can invent a bunch of stuff, right? That's the new push for Disney. Eureka. First she was Dora the Explorer, right? They were pandering to Asians. They were pandering to, to a Latino market, right? Dora the Explorer, they made billions of dollars off of her. Now you have Eureka, a little black girl, of course. She has an Asian friend. You got to balance it out, right? And a black friend. I haven't seen a white friend on there, but I'm sure they'll throw a white boy. He'll probably be fat, friendly, and non-aggressive. There's a mechanism they put together when they make these cartoons and shows, right? So just know that they're pandering to us. The future is black. The future is African, right? So the right-wing people of the European race, they see that. They see everything happening around them. You can pander, you can watch Fox News and listen to the information you want to hear to make yourself feel comfortable. You can do all those things, but there's a thing called reality that's actually happening. There's a thing called truths and facts that still exist and operate in real life, despite the things we want to believe, the things we make up and fantasize with. So white people are like, hey man, we're becoming a minority in our own country, right? Just like they're becoming minorities in their own homeland, on top of all the places that they conquer. They're becoming the minority. They're losing power of numbers. So they look back and they say, well, if the woman don't want to give birth, if she's choosing not to give birth, if she's choosing to have an abortion, we need to make the choice for her to have the children so we can increase our population. Period. Europeans want to do everything they can to increase their population. So if that means stopping a bunch of poor white folk from getting abortions so that they can so their population can manifest, can grow, because I don't know how many white European Americans get abortions every year, but if you look at the number, I'm sure you can look it up. Those are how many potential human beings could be on this planet. That's how they're looking at it, right? So by any means necessary to reverse the opportunity for a woman to be able to eliminate a child, they had to stop that. So they have a great victory. The people who believe in that have a great victory in life. And then the ones who really believe in life and cherish life, they have a great victory. The ones that believe that this is going to help the white race recover its numbers, they have a great victory. Each side has victories. The extreme right side had a victory, right? The the extreme right side has had victories, right? The LGBTQ plus A, B, C, D, F, G, F, I, J, K, L, M, N, P community, they got everything they wanted, right? They're getting everything they wanted. That's the extreme left, right? They're getting things, they're getting legislation passed. So, of course, the right wing are doing exactly the same thing. They're like, well, if you're going to get yours off, we're going to get ours off. And keep in mind, these are still white European institutions that are battling each other, and we as black people are beholden to either group. We're either going to be on this side or this side, but we don't control any of it, right? Now, does it benefit the African American? Does it benefit the African Americans people? Does the fight for life? Because, like I said, this does go, in certain parts of this movement goes beyond race and politics. Does this help black folks? Well, it will have the same effect on black people, poor black women, than it will have on poor white people, right? So poor black women would not have the capability of eliminating or terminating pregnancies that they don't want, or for whatever various reasons, right? So they no longer have a choice in certain states, not all states, certain states. Now, what's probably going to happen is certain states are going to ban it, and then other states are going to boost their industry, and then people are just going to go back and forth state to state to get it done. Because the thing is, it's not going to slow down it's not going to slow down abortion. People are still going to get abortions. It's just going to be the illegal way, the way they were doing it before it was legal. They're either going to do it they're going to find a way to do it. They're going to get it done. That means more women are going to be dying due to malpractice and due to various other things. Think about it. You got women who will go to a different country to get an extra butt, some boobs, right? You got, women who will go across state to get some extra butts and boobs, and sometimes people die, but they still do it even for that superficial reason, just to have a look. So you don't think they would do the same thing to get rid of an unwanted pregnancy? They're going to do it. Making something illegal doesn't stop people from doing it. It just creates a new criminal. It just puts more people in jail and puts more people in harm. Right? Now let's look at it from another view. This, even though the right wing, certain pro-life groups, they have the victory of life, but at the same time, we just saw in 2022, in supposedly the greatest, most powerful, most progressive country in the world that everybody wants to come to and be to, and thrive in, we just saw a fundamental right being taken away from human beings. Think about that. We just saw a fundamental right being taken away from human beings. A right that most modern countries have. Now, here's the thing. You cannot like abortion. You cannot agree with it. But those are your personal feelings, right? And we're supposed to keep our personal feelings out of politics, because our personal feelings can get us in trouble, because it can cause us to be hypocrites. So if you're a Republican, you're saying, oh, women don't have the right. What you're saying is they don't have the right to control their own individual bodies. But the Republican Party is the same group of people that say that you shouldn't tell an individual that they have to wear a little cloth over their face just to prevent the spread of a virus. That's against their constitution and their right as a patriotic, independent American, right? You can't regulate guns because, that's against individual liberties, and every person's supposed to have a gun, because this very vague old paragraph in this document that wasn't meant for everybody says so, right? So it's in there. We should have the right to, God gave us the right to have guns and 50 caliber machine guns and 240 grenade launchers and be able to point them towards our neighbors if we feel like we have to defend ourselves, right? Right? Talk about life. Republicans talk about they love life. They only love life until the baby comes out. Then the baby doesn't get any resources. The baby's on their own. No public, no resources, no money, no infrastructure to take care of that baby. That baby can be shot at any time as long as the other person is standing there on ground and it's okay. That baby can go to school and get killed by some European American that has a mental issue that went and got the gun that was bought by his parents legally, at a gun shop with no problem, and go kill up a bunch of people. See, the kids don't matter, once they're out. They just only matter, while they're inside the womb. So the Republicans are being very hypocritical on that side, right? Very hypocritical. Right? Now, on the left, the liberals, they're hypocritical every day, right? Because they're like, oh, we should have the right to do anything we want, right? We should have the right to push any agenda, any lifestyle we want. We shouldn't have any structure. We shouldn't have any foundation. You should be able to do anything you want, right? But at the same time, they want to push their agenda on everybody, right? They want to force everybody to get with their agenda. They want to make you the bad guy if you don't get with what they're trying to put down. You understand? They're trying to make certain lifestyles normal. We all know certain lifestyles will never be considered normal in this human, as long as human beings exist. No matter how much you push certain things, it will never, ever be seen as a normal, regular thing in society. Point blank, period. No matter how much you want to say it, it's not the natural state of being for human beings. So it will never just be something that you see and don't think. It will always be an outlier. You will always notice it. Now, can it be tolerated to a certain extent? Yes. Can it be tolerated, dealt with, and left alone, and to his own device, and let people live and let live, right? Peace and harmony. That can happen. But at the same time, a level of aggressive pushing towards lifestyles that is not normal in the human experience for the most part, yes, it's always been around. It's always been around. But it ain't normal. All right? It's not a normal state of being for humans to naturally recognize as something normal that they want to do and they want their children to do and be a part of. Period. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. So they're hypocritical about that. So if you're allowed to do all that stuff there, then your way of thinking as a liberal, you think that everything you think that's progressively moving forward is a good thing. That's not true. That's why we have the conservative view, because everything that we have been doing is not all bad, and everything we want to do is not all good. Period. We got to have a balance, right? That's why we have both extreme sides and you have the middle. What else did I say? So my thing is, I understand both sides. A right was just taken away from half of the human population in America. A federal right was taken. Nobody ever thought that could happen. What else can they take away? They can probably take away a few other things. They're probably going to go after, they're probably going to go after a few other things that will empower them. Things they want to get rid of that they hate, right? They hate abortion, right? They hated that for their reasons. They hate what is it called? When you get, I forgot what you call that thing, but it's a thing to help minorities. Minorities get a leg up in business. I forgot. I'm having a brain fart right now. And I do my videos straight. I'm doing any cutting, so you get what you get. I forgot. But anyway, when you apply for a job, you get preferential treatment because you're black, right? Now the purpose, or minority color, the Europeans want to get rid of that because they want to go off the merit, right? Understandable, in the perfect world, going off merit would be the correct way to go. But since we know we have people in these institutions who are racist and bigoted and prejudiced, we know we need something to combat the white European propensity to be to gear towards just themselves, or to tip the scales in their favor, because it's what they do naturally. So we need something to help tip it. So they want to get rid of that. That'll be on the chopping block. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I can't get the name now, but y'all know what I'm talking about, because white people hate that shit. All right. What else they might get rid of? Us being human beings as black people in this country, not in the Constitution, right? And if their excuse that abortion wasn't in the Constitution, that was the reason why they were able to overturn it, guess what? They can overturn, you being a whole human being too. That was nothing but an amendment they put in the Constitution. Constitution not built for us. We can always redo the Constitution, though. It's not like it was written by God and manifested itself on some stone tablets or something like that, and just like, it's just a piece of paper man wrote up. It could be, rewritten or whatnot. But there's various other small little rules that you take for laws that you take for granted that you have now that can, quietly be taken away from you, right? Gun legislation. I just said I was going to touch on that. Gun legislation, they're never going to do anything about that. Why? Because the industrial, the war industrial complex, the weapon industrial complex, the arms industrial complex, they have too much money, too much power, too much reach internationally to let some little thing like a bunch of kids killing each other in a bunch of urban white schools to stop them from doing their thing. That's nothing to them. On the grand scheme of things, nothing. more kids get killed in various other countries with the same weapon that they sell to other people. As far as they're concerned, let's say nothing, just collateral damage. It's never going to happen unless you crush lobbying. The only way we can stop and make real legislation is to make lobbying illegal. Because lobbying is basically legalized corruption. It's legalized corruption. That's what lobbying is. We get on other countries for their for their politicians being corrupt. When we have an actual legal institution within our country that legalizes corruption by allowing corporations to be people and to lobby politicians to campaign towards their interests. All right, as long as that continues to be the case, us peasants will never get anything unless we power through the government, put people in the government that really have our best interests at hand, and we have to put enough of them for them to have enough power to actually make legislation move. Because just putting 1 or 2 highly motivated individuals in Congress when you got 100-something white people, white or old white people that have been doing it 30, 40 years, still getting that same old money, they're not going to change anything. It needs new blood to circulate around our system for us, new things to happen. Same goes in various other countries. So when it comes to that, you'll always have your guns. That's just something they use to scare you during elections. And what else? Democrats will never take your guns. You think Democrats don't make money off guns too? You think they really care? They'll give you their hopes and their prayers and their hearts and minds, and then they go off and they make contracts with weapons companies to sell weapons to like the Taliban so they can go ahead and fight, the Russians or something like we've been doing. Now we'll go ahead and give weapons to another terrorist or rebel guerrilla group in Afghanistan to fight the Taliban, which we allowed to take power so that we can know where they are, so we can watch their country crumble under their own power, so they can use propaganda to say, look how bad they are. All right, and now we have another terrorist organization killing them, so now we don't have to do it. Right? That's just how it works. So the only way we're going to get change is if we have real politicians people go into politics with the idea of not enriching themselves, but actually doing something for the people. And we need enough of them in order to make some type of major change happen. Because this government is set up for major change not to happen. This is operating exactly the way it's supposed to operate. So we don't have any major swifts left and right. But this recently has been a major swift left and right as far as the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade, which normally doesn't happen in a Western or advanced or first world country once the president has been set. All right, normally it doesn't happen, but it did happen. Right? What else? Oh, okay. The warning to the Trump. I'm gonna wrap this up because it's 27 minutes. Warning to the black Trump supporter. I understand that there's a reason why, a nuanced reason why there's black people who support Donald Trump. But understand, Donald Trump, we probably could have got things done through Donald Trump, as far as black people to get certain things. But let's not forget that Donald Trump is a piece of shit, racist, probably. He's just narcissist. He's not a good business person. I don't know why people keep saying he's a businessman. He's a terrible businessman. He's only living off his daddy's money, right? He's living off his daddy's legacy. He's already on top of Mount Olympus. To knock him down, it takes a lot, right? And we should not be utilizing Donald Trump as a mascot for black people or any type of black anything. It's just that, Biden is a piece of shit too. They're both pieces of shit. We had to vote for one destabilizing piece of shit racist, or one at least somewhat stabilizing piece of shit racist. Biden was the least stable piece of shit racist because he's at least smart enough, intelligent enough, got enough people around him to have a functioning, matured government. Period. Now, is he doing anything great? No. Is he doing a horrible job? Yes, but at least the government itself is sound. When Trump was president, he had nothing but parasites and succubuses around him, taking advantage of his lackluster knowledge of politics, his ignorance of politics, his ignorance of anything government, his bad business governing lifestyle. People took advantage of that. That's why if you notice, there's a lot of people who were around and worked for Trump. There are a lot of them that are in jail right now because they saw a substitute teacher and they took advantage of the class. That's what Trump was. Trump was the substitute teacher in the class that just came in there. He sat down there. He's called the teacher, but he really don't teach. And the class doesn't pay attention to do any of the work. They barely come. They just take full advantage. They're on their phones. They're talking and passing notes. They're not caring, right? Because if a real teacher was in there, they wouldn't do none of that. That was the benefit of Trump. But Trump himself is not a mascot for black people or conservative black people. Because guess what? Trump is being, right now, systematically, professionally destroyed by the Democrats when it comes to this June 6th thing. I need for a lot of you Pan-African Trump people to just come to the realization that June 6th happened. I was there, but guys, that's the thing about it. I know, I saw it. When I say I was there, I mean I was there. I was there. That was a riot. It was an insurrection. Those people were there to do harm. They had weapons, real weapons. They had bombs. They had guns. They had all sorts of things. Gladly, a lot of those things didn't get used. They had real weapons. We shouldn't use cognitive dissonance to disregard all how shitty Trump really was just because we hate the Democrats. We also hate the Republicans. Like I said, the Republicans give you shit and you eat the shit, you know it's shit. The Democrats, they give you shit, they try to wrap it up, spray some sweet smelling on it and all that stuff. But keep in mind, they're both from shit. But truly, Donald Trump was a true disaster to this country and to the world. And we do not really want him in the White House again. And I doubt he will be in the White House. And when he's gone, when he's no longer the flavor of the month, because the thing is, keep in mind, Trump is the mascot for white racist, white supremacists. We can't be and advocate for somebody who's also the mascot for white supremacy. Because if we are advocating for someone who's the mascot for white supremacy, that means we inherently are advocating for white supremacy. Because that's what Trump is. He is a nasty, rich, yellow, orange face, piece of shit, fat, disgusting, unhealthy, spoon-fed rich guy. White people love that because he don't give a fuck. You understand? He don't give a about political correctness. Political correctness just means he's not going to pander to black people or colored people. He's going to say what a strong Valhalla, strong white male would say. A strong, and if it's March, a strong Irishman would say. You know, because after March, every white person is just regular white. March, they become Irish, right? But yeah, we need to really start, because it turns black people off. If you're a Pan-African and you love Trump so much, if you're really pushing for Trump and you're a Pan-African, it's going to turn a lot of Pan-Africans off, because we're not stupid, right? We do understand Trump was a piece of shit. It's just that he thought Africa was a piece of shit, so he wasn't caring about Africa. That means Africa was able to make their moves and breathe a little bit more, because you had a major country that wasn't thinking about Africa, wasn't trying to exploit Africa, because they had no value. They saw no value in Africa, right? We see the problem with a decent decent government in America is, if you're a decent, smart government, you do care about Africa and you need those resources, and you're going to do anything you can to get those resources, right? Anything you can. Trump didn't care. This government does, right? So that means Africa has to be on their toes. This country got to be on their toes to all the tricks that the Western world tries to play to gain resources, which, thankfully enough, the African countries are doing, which is good. You know, they're not being taken advantage of the way a lot of African Americans, a lot of enthusiastic African Americans who want to be black power, who think. A lot of our thinking is old 1980s, 1989 thinking. We're not thinking about, this is 2022. A lot has changed in Africa. So when Trump is gone, because if he doesn't run in 2024, which I doubt he'll win, trust me, because the Republicans don't want him there, the Democrats don't want him there. He doesn't have enough push or power. The fad is over. The flavor of the month is changing. He will not be the president. I'm telling you right now. So once he's done, what is the black conservative Republican? Who is he going to hang on to? He can't continue to hang on to Trump, some mascot that's no longer useful, right? No, I mean, what are you going to do? You can't keep. If you're going to be a black conservative, it's time to be a black conservative with black conservative talking points, black conservative policies and agendas, and talk about those things. Stop using Donald Trump as your mascot, because black people are not that stupid. I mean, we weren't born yesterday, and we weren't born last night. We may not know a lot, but one thing we do know in America is Trump ain't shit. We don't really want Trump, okay? But who do we want? Who do we want to vote for in the elections? Who has our best interests at hand? And if they don't have our best interests at hand, who's going to at least leave us the hell alone? We need one of those. You're either going to have our best interests at hand, or you're going to leave us the hell alone. Or you're going to help other people leave us the hell alone. Leave us to our own devices and see what we can do on our own, right? That's what we want, okay? So, because there's a lot of Pan-Africans that's really enthusiastic about Donald Trump. you might want to get Donald Trump's name out of our mouths, you know, here in the near future. Okay, so that's all I got to say. 34-minute video. I think I'm done. I think I covered enough, because I know a lot of you guys, the ones who are still listening to me now, you probably was waiting for me to say something on Roe versus Wade, say something on this crappy gun legislation that they want to pass, whatever. And I know some of you, because y'all have been talking to me about it in my comment section and on Instagram and my personal messaging. What's up with this Trump thing? Because it doesn't make sense, doesn't correlate, right? Because if you're a Pan-African, if you're a Black Power guy, you can see all the faults in the Democrats. You can see all the faults in all these other politicians. You can see all the faults in the system. You can see all the faults in other African countries within detail, right? Don't tell me you can't see all the faults in the Republican Party and Donald Trump. Do not tell me you can't see that. Because if you can't see it, that means you're either not as genuine as you say you are, or you're purposely disregarding that information because it doesn't fit your agenda. All right? So we all have to be honest about what we want here. Honest about how we feel about certain people we consider leaders or mascot of our own ideologies in this Western world. And you know, and in that way, we will be able to move forward responsibly. People can understand us better, and you know, then we can progress a little bit further. Once we can identify who we are as a people, what we want as a group of people, and what we're going to tolerate and what we're not going to tolerate. Okay, so that's all I got to say for now, guys. I hope I covered everything. That's all that's all I got. It's Afro Think Tank. Learn something, teach something. I'm out.
You're listening to DJ Afro Think Tank. Thanks for watching. Like, share, comment, and subscribe.